This is Teachable Moments with April podcast, and you guessed it, I'm your host, April. If you're a returning listener and a part of the Teachable Moments with April podcast family, welcome back. For those who are checking me out for the first time, well, hello and welcome. To everyone listening, look for the teachable moments that are all around us. Enjoy and be encouraged. This is your host, April. So I did an episode in regards to a very brief um, review of Netflix documentary on Dancing with the Devil, the TikTok dance cult. So I wanted to also add some stuff to this. There was a lot of other things that I would like to say about it. But those were the key points in the particular previous episode. But I came across something online from NBC News, and it says Miranda Derrick, which is one of the sisters, the twins that I spoke of. The other twin's name is Melanie, and it was her and her father and her mother who were the ones that kind of got the ball rolling in, I guess, the allegations going on about their concerns for their daughter, and in Melanie's case, her twin sister, being in this dance cult. And it says Miranda Derrick, she's the one that's still connected to this particular church, this particular pastor, and the whole dancing situation. It says Miranda Derrick says she's been put in danger after Netflix Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. It says the docuseries centered on Derrick's gradual estrangement from her family after she joined the talent management company 7M Films in Shekinah Church. So before I read portions of this particular online article from NBC News, is that at some point what I was saying about the control that this particular pastor had over these young people, and basically the other parishioners as well who worked in the other businesses, is that they were estranged, and then at some point when things started to kind of heat up, and I think the pastor, Robert Shin, started to feel the pressure that this could actually be an issue, him isolating people, these young people, impressionable young people, from their families, is that he actually, I don't want to say ordered them, but to not do that anymore, to actually continue to talk to their families, as long as they didn't bring up or ask questions about him, the church, or anything that had to do with that. Otherwise, they would have continued to not have any contact whatsoever with their family. And it's not just like, let's say, when you are doing certain things with your life, you're a young adult, and it comes with the territory, growing pains. You leave high school, you go to college or the university, you start to work, you start to have your own family, your own life that's independent, okay, of your family. We're not talking about that. This is something on a whole nother level, okay? And then your time is kind of, you're living your life. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. You don't have to tell your family every little thing. This is not this is not normal. I'm just going to call it, it's not normal what's going on. When you start to force and control other people to this extent where they cannot, or are afraid to, or convinced not to talk to somebody, okay, that's not normal, okay? You've overstepped your bounds. And it's not like whatever their beliefs are in this alleged church or religion, these people don't necessarily agree with the doctrine, okay? Meaning All doctrine in a church should be from the Bible, not your own opinions or something that you yourself, as an imperfect human being, have came up with. Okay, when you move away from the Bible, God's word, okay, and it's all about what you think and what you said, it is no longer about God. It's about you, an imperfect man or woman. And when you are trying to cut people off. So anyway, in regards to what I took, okay, because I don't know any of these people, okay, I just watched a show on Netflix. He basically, it's a lot of secrecy, a lot of secrecy, and have these young people signing NDAs. Even though I realize that that's a company, the 7M management company, uh, this is not healthy. It's very toxic and it's very dysfunctional. The only reason why Miranda started talking to her family is again because he told her to. And that person, one person, shouldn't have that type of influence or power over another person. It's very unhealthy. It's very toxic. So this says influencer Miranda Derrick said she has been receiving death threats now following the release of a Netflix docuseries that alleged she was part of TikTok this TikTok dance cult. Wow, me saying TikTok dance in a cult is like, whoa, that's like mind blowing. It says Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult, which debuted on the streaming service May 29th, described Derrick and several other TikTok stars as victims of talent management company 7M Films and the Los Angeles Shekinah Church. Both are run by Robert Shen. They're basically saying the same things. The three-episode series introduced Derrick's parents, Kelly and Dean Wilkin, and her sister, her twin sister Melanie, who is also an influencer. And I did see videos of her and her sister. You know, they're really, ever since they were little girls, they were into dance, and their parents supported that. And they had a pretty good following. Um, Derrick and Melanie Wilkin um, had risen to social media fame together, but Derrick allegedly became estranged from her family, okay, after joining the 7M Films, according to the family's interviews featured in the documentary. In a video posted to Instagram on Monday, Derrick said that she had her husband, James Derrick, feel like our lives have been put in danger after the release of the show. The docuseries, which featured interviews with various former 7M and Shekinah members, put an immediate spotlight on the social media stars that are still affiliated with the management company and church, which some documentary participants described as, air quotes, cult. Honestly, I don't understand how my parents and my sister thought that this documentary would help me or would help our relationship in any way, Derrick said in her video. Neither Derrick nor her husband participated, no they did, in the docuseries. Shen also was not interviewed. The docuseries closed with slides that stated the three didn't respond to requests for comments. So they did reach out and they declined, which is their right. Since the show's release, the couple has been followed in their cars, stalked, and received hate mail and death threats online. Derrick said she described messages from people who she said threatened to, that's not cool, to gut her, oh my God, or to shove her in the trunk of their car if they saw her out in public. Okay, that's not right either. That's toxic and dysfunctional. None of the members of the Derrick and Wilkin families responded immediately to requests for comment. Now, they said the representatives for Netflix and Shekinah Church also did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Tuesday. In an email statement on Wednesday, a spokesperson for 7M Films said that the Netflix docuseries is a slanderous work of fiction born from a failed extortion attempt. Oh, okay. And invented for the sole purpose of gaining fame and fortune, aka clout. They went on to say that Netflix, the entity Netflix, recklessly provided a global platform to peddle a false narrative that is at the center of ongoing litigation. The spokesperson said, adding the company will continue to pursue legal action and expects to be fully vindicated in court. Now, in her video, Derrick said she had been meeting privately with her family for the past several years to work on mending their relationship, and they did show that, yeah, actually in the docuseries, a development that also touched on. They said it touched it in the docuseries. Now, I've been loving getting together again, laughing, enjoying each other's company. And this documentary has made it very difficult to continue doing that. And honestly, I think this is what she said. I think that my parents, my sister, have focused so much on this documentary that they've forgotten about working on any relationship with me, and that hurts. Now, Derrick's Instagram video post comes a week after she had issued a statement on her Instagram story. She said that she and her family just don't see eye to eye at this time, and that she believes the documentary portrayed a one-sided story. Okay. She also pushed back on some of the portrayals in the docuseries of her relationship with her family. My family didn't honor the space I asked for, and I saw a different side to them I've never seen before. Honestly, it made me mad, frustrated, and annoyed that they were being so overbearing and chaotic. Now, Derrick said she reached a point where she felt like she was being harassed and that she chose to miss her grandfather's funeral in Michigan, an incident that contributed to rising tension and confusion within the family unit, according to the documentary, out of fear they would not let her return to Los Angeles. It says, I will not add that I would have preferred for my family's circumstances to remain private. I'm forced, and I feel like I have no other choice but to defend myself because of all of this. I can't convince anyone to believe anything. I am just a woman trying to live my life. I am not a victim. I am not in any harm. I am not being abused. I've never asked my family or anyone else to help me in any way. Respectfully, what I chose to do with my life is up to me. Okay, well, Kelly, Dean, and Melanie Wilkin had first aired their concerns about Derrick's involvement in this particular management company in early 2022. After Derrick's statement last week, Melanie Wilkin told Access Hollywood that the parties mentioned in the show were reached out to many times and declined to comment every time. She said that it's very hurtful to hear Derrick feel threatened by her and her family, her parents, but that at the end of the day, I know that who's talking right now and who's giving statements right now, that's not the sister. I know they kept saying that when they started to receive emails. This is before they actually started back seeing each other, that it didn't sound like her sister, the way she talked, the words, because everybody knows their loved ones, how they talk, certain words they use, certain little sayings, and turn of phrase. And she says, whoever's doing this with the email is not my sister, as well as their parents. Their mother and father were saying the same thing, and I felt really bad for them all crying, but especially for their father, because he seemed like a very proud individual. And it takes a lot for a man to cry. And when he started to break down and how helpless they all are, I was like, wow, this is really messed up. She at some point will know that it goes on, and it basically ends there. She at some point will know that we're all done all of this because we love her unconditionally and would do anything for her, she added. And I know she will know that at some point. I think they hoped, and they said in the docu-series, is that once things started to fall apart and they had all of these women coming forward saying that this pastor had basically molested them, sexually assaulted them, that they were hoping that she would finally kind of see into who this individual really was, that whatever he was portraying himself to be, and he did publicly within that church explain himself and ask for forgiveness. But I mean, it was an insane amount of women. And then the sad part is, after he did that and how touched everybody that believed him, um, that he was, you know, being vulnerable, he just went right back right after that. Like right after that, he started soliciting more action. That's not someone that is really sorry, okay? And that's where it came in with this. This is what I didn't add in the first episode. Uh, the two sisters, the oldest being Priscilla, was saying that she was approached by him. Um, and it turned epic. It got to the point where she was physically sick. She kept doing it because of the control that he had over her. And then there was this big confrontation by his wife. And his wife physically assaulted her because she was mad, because he was spending too much time um, with the massages, and the other stuff. So the wife actually felt threatened by her because he kept coming and spending time with her. It became really, this is sick. No. All right. So I found some information on CNN, and this article is also about, of course, about this particular docu-series, Dancing for the Devil. Okay, which if I said Dancing with the Devil, that is incorrect. It's Dancing for the Devil. So this actually addresses the two sisters that I talked about, two sets of sisters, two twins, okay, as well as the two sisters that were immigrants from Korea, I believe, Melanie Lee as well as Priscilla Lee. And the latter two joined Shekinah as young immigrants, like I said, in 1999, when their mother moved to this country. I want to say they addressed that the father as well. I can't remember if the father came with them and then he left, or he didn't accompany them on their immigration here to the U.S. But basically, he abandoned them first, sadly, and then the mother really was grappling and with some issues, and that's how she got into extreme gambling as well as drinking, becoming an alcoholic, and that's what left them quite open and very vulnerable pretty early on, okay, to this church and to the people that are connected to it. So they're saying this particular article from CNN is that they became dependent, like I said, for housing and work, okay. Priscilla has since changed her last name to, it's still Lee, but it's changed, the spelling is changed from Lee to Ligh. So anyway, they lost contact for years when Melanie left the church with the help of a friend that she made when she was back in high school. She reconnected with this gentleman, and he actually helped her escape. It's so sad because I believe that by this time, she had also been approached by the pastor, Robert Shen, in order to not sleep with him, but sleep with someone else, as well as the sister was. So oh wow, it was a mess. So anyway, in spite of everything, the older sister ended up staying, okay, but at some point she did liberate herself from it. So it says, for Melanie Lee to come forward, I'm just so appreciative of her strength and trust in us, said the documentary's executive producer, explaining that she was initially weary. She expressed that she has her sister still in there, and she feared for her. Over the course of production, Priscilla left Shekinah. So this shows that even though they had started doing the docu-series or documentary, the older sister stayed there in spite of everything. And it got to the point where Priscilla, being approached by the pastor and then finding herself in this dealings, I don't want to call it a relationship with him, really impacted her mentally, spiritually, and physically, where she was getting physically sick, but she just continued to do it. And then the confrontation that happened with the wife. And it got to the point, even before that happened, it was that she had just kind of went into herself, and she said she stayed in her room a lot. Oh, wow. So anyway, it says the Shin family and the Derricks did not participate in the docuseries. Yeah, they said that. Though Miranda has stated on social media that she is not in a cult. Then it says B Dash describes 7M as a secular, for-profit company run by people who have faith in God. Okay. In his own statement, it is their job to manage, control our bookings or schedules. That is not a cult activity, and it is called doing business. So there are a lot of people that, like I said, that are still there, and whatnot. They also show for these particular sisters, Priscilla and Melanie Lee, that the one that got out first, which was the youngest, Melanie, said that once she got out and she had her daughter, she got married, she had her daughter, she always made sure that wherever they stayed, they picked a place where there would be a spare room, because she was always hoping and looking forward to her sister getting out, finally seeing the light, or having the courage enough to leave this particular church, and she wanted her to be with her and her family. And then they showed a situation in which Melanie's daughter, I forgot how old her daughter is, but she's still very young, had a birthday, and she invited her sister Priscilla. And her sister Priscilla did come, but she came late. And she sat down with her, and she was talking to her sister. And her sister, they had a very volatile moment in which the sister was basically bringing it to her attention again that they had just came out of a what? A cult, okay, that she was also a part of, okay, at one point, but she stayed. And that it really, and then the trauma that they had sustained from their broken family, their biological family, she's not normal. She basically said that I'm not normal, and I'm struggling, and I hear what you're saying, and I love you, and I love my niece, but I'm having some issues, and it's not getting any better for me. She spoke of wanting to end her life. So I was just like, oh my God. So then they showed her asking for space, but letting it be known that she loved her sister. And I think what she did is that she went back to Korea, and she found her biological father. And she basically told him how she felt. And usually in those situations, the other person wants to kind of smooth it over, okay, because they have their own, I don't know, but I think that the father has his own trauma, and he doesn't know necessarily how to be a father. So he tried to smooth it over, and she wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. She wasn't disrespectful, but she was very blunt with him. And I think that that's how she has to be. You're respectful because he's your father, in spite of his behavior, but you're not going to sugarcoat it either, okay? That he basically abandoned them, and then their mother, okay, had her issues as well, okay? No one's perfect, but it really, he didn't even know, the father, how could he know how long she'd been in this particular church, with the allegations of it being a cult. He says, I thought you were in there for 5 years. She says, no, I was there for 23 years. And he even looked shocked. He was like, oh, oh, yeah. I don't know if their father reconnected with her other sister, or they didn't show that in the docuseries. It just showed her reconnecting with their biological father in Korea. So, yeah, I don't know, got into everyone's story, but especially these sets of sisters. I don't have sisters. I have 2 brothers, but by her being the eldest and I'm the eldest, maybe that was something, I don't know, but I just really felt sorry for her. And she was just saying how there's a certain level of free will, but that she'd been in this church since her 20s, um, and that she'd really at one point wanted to have children, but due to whatever was going on with this church and this mind, this control or whatever cultish kind of situation, she basically missed her opportunity, and she was really, really crying. And I was like, oh my God, this is not good. Um, but I do hope that everyone in question basically heals. Um, I might not be my place to speak on this, but outside of this docuseries, I remember working with someone who was a social worker at this center that I worked at, and the lady was very reserved, very nice lady. And at one point, her daughter worked there for a time, and then her son. And I had the opportunity to meet her husband. He didn't work there. And at some point, because she was very quiet, I'm very quiet, I keep to myself, pretty reserved, she actually started to open up. And when she opened up, she really opened up. And what she told me was that her daughter had somehow got in a cult, and they were trying to get her out. So you go from a person being extremely, extremely, extremely quiet. I mean, even more quiet than me. And then when she does start talking to you, she said, I'm trying to get my daughter out of this cult, and it's in another state. And of course, when she told other people, everybody was buzzing with it, about her daughter. And then I wanted to know, but I didn't want to overstep my bounds, especially when you're in a work setting, a professional setting. You don't want to be like getting in people's face and ask. She told me about it, but you still, at least for me, I was like, okay, when she didn't like volunteer, every time I would see her, I'm thinking that's pretty heavy. And I remember waiting till we were alone, and I asked her, and I said, if you don't mind me asking, I let some time go by, but not too much. Have you talked to your daughter? And she's like, yeah, we did. We got her out. But I don't know. I want to say somebody else might have been also kind of suckered into this particular. It was a certifiable cult. It wasn't just a religion. She made that very abundantly clear. And I think her daughter had actually had her first grandchild in this cult. I don't know who, was it another member? I'd hate to say if it was the pastor or the leader. I don't know. So let me not say. But this is very, very real, and it happens more often than people talk about. Like I say, this lady, she didn't really talk hardly at all. Very, very, like I said, she seemed even more quieter than myself. And when she started to, and it seemed like after she told me that, then I would actually see her, witnessed her laughing. She never would laugh or anything. So these things, even though it's not her involved, like she's part of this cult, her daughter, and it affects how you actually interact in your day-to-day activity. It takes a toll. Where she couldn't even, she said, I haven't heard from her, I haven't seen her. These things are so real, and they're so serious, where people are actually controlling other people. It's just mind-boggling. You were just listening to Teachable Moments with April podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode.